Hello guys, thank you for tuning in to my channel today. My name is Anthony. I do hope that your day is okay and I hope that your week has been faring on well. I have also been fine and I thank God that up to today that things are quite okay on my end. So in our episode today, I'd like to do a very different episode than what we've been used to, in that today I'm not educating as such, but I'm just passing across a message. Okay, so the messaging or the video for today will be slightly different than what we're used to, and I do hope that you will receive it the way I intend for you to receive it. So for those of you who have been around for a while, you know that I've had a number of channels. My first channel was specifically speaking on spirituality before I oriented towards leadership and good governance. This channel was not in my idea. This was not something that I had envisioned me doing, not in my wildest dreams, but God just placed this burden in my heart. And the more I grew in my relationship, in my faith with God, He began, telling me or revealing to me the burden that He has for this land or this country called Kenya. And so, as I began my channel on the Kenya We Want, the channel basically was supposed to bring out or to highlight the wrong things that are going on within the leadership of this country. And as the channel progressed, you see, on top of highlighting what is wrong, you also need to provide certain solutions. So that's why I started now teaching about traits of good leaders, especially to the young and up and coming leaders. And my focus was on young leaders because it is a burden that God placed in my heart. And the reason as to why He placed that burden in my heart is what I will reveal today. And so our today's episode is just a messaging to the people of Kenya, to whoever will watch this video, because God placed a burden in my heart, and I believe I have seen the manifestation of whatever He has been saying to me happen slowly and gradually as the days go by. So I was in my prayer closet, or I was praying recently, and this message came strongly, and this communication was impressed on me. And so the instructions of what I perceive God told me to do is to communicate His intentions for Kenya, so that you can be aware of what is about to happen, so that when you see certain changes happening within the landscape of Kenya, you are not alarmed. You are informed that it is the doing of God, okay, for this country called Kenya. So my video today is to just pass across what God communicated to me, okay, concerning what He wants to do in this land called Kenya. And so I was careful enough to write it down so that I do not add or subtract from what He communicated to me. And so I will read the piece of paper that I wrote what He spoke to me, so that we can all be in the same understanding. Okay, so what I titled the revelation is that this is what will happen in Kenya before 2027 and after 2027. So what God impressed in my heart is to speak to Kenya, or to Kenyans, concerning His intentions towards Kenya. Okay, and so I put them in bullet points so that they can be well summarized for you to absorb or digest them easily. So number one, Kenya is being birthed afresh. So there's a new birthing that is about to happen in Kenya, or that is happening in Kenya. Number two, a new chapter is about to come forth in the pages of Kenya. So God is doing a new thing, Number 3, wickedness, gluttony, and greed is being replaced with justice, righteousness, and servant leadership. So when I say God is doing a new thing, He's doing that in the sphere of leadership, the leadership of Kenya. So we have been used to wickedness, gluttony, and greed from the leaders. He's now replacing that with justice, righteousness, and servant leadership. The next point, those that have stolen will return all that they stole from the people of Kenya. They will either do this willingly or through compulsion. Okay, so we know that there are people or politicians who have been looting this country ever since its conception, and they have very grand malls and businesses and all these things. So all the wealth that has been stolen from the land of Kenya will be returned to the people of Kenya, either willingly or through compulsion. When he talks about compassion, I don't know what means God will use to make these people return the wealth to Kenyans, but that's what I was led to communicate. So the next point, a new breed of leaders is coming forth. Okay, leaders who have been through the system and understand the problems of Kenya. So when I talk about leaders who have been through the system, it means there are certain people that God had chosen to be leaders. He had ordained these people to be leaders, and these people have gone through the Kenyan system, through the education system, through the tertiary level of education, through the job market. So they understand where the problem is in the Kenyan system. So these are not people who are coming to fix Kenya from outside, but these are people who are coming to fix Kenya from within. They have been through the system, they understand the problems, and they're coming with homegrown oriented solutions. Okay, so God is raising upright leaders who fear Him and will rule as He does. So these are people that God has trained. These are people that God has given the right understanding. They have the fear of God. So they are ruling the people, or they have been taught leadership in line with the dictates of how God wants leadership to be conducted. Okay, so they are not coming with their own blueprint. No, they are using God's blueprint to bring leadership to Kenya. So the next point, Kenyans will demand one thing, and that will be change. And this will echo across the whole of Kenya, from the northeastern to the coast. So there will be a cry for change within the country, and this demand will be unanimous. So Kenyans will demand one thing, and this will be change. And it will echo across the whole of Kenya, from the northeastern to the coast. So there will be a cry for change from the people of Kenya, and this will be seamlessly felt across the whole of Kenya. So there's going to be a cry for change that will whisper across the whole of Kenya. So what will happen next in Kenya will shock the whole world. The wave of change will sweep corrupt leaders in their totality. So we are going to do away with every corrupt leader. We are going to have a new brand of leaders, a new breed of fresh leaders who are bringing change and who are bringing something different to this land of Kenya. The next point, no amount of planning, alliances, devising, and human intelligence will work. So this change is divine. It is a move of God. It is from Him. So no amount of alliances, no amount of intelligence, no amount of party unity and all these coming together of parties is going to stop what is happening. No amount of intimidation, no amount of using intelligence, no amount of bills that will be passed will stop what is happening. No amount of security forces that the government will try to use will stop this. In short, every attempt by the leaders who are currently in power to stop what is coming will be in futility. This is something that carries the mind of God, it carries the wisdom of God, and you're going to see it. They're going to try to use bills, they're going to try to use laws they're going to try to use alliances, they're going to try to bribe their way, they're going to try all manner of things to avert what is coming. But all this will be futile because it is God who is orchestrating this change. So any leader who will oppose this change will be doing so in futility. And if it reaches a point, because I mentioned this in a video that I did back, I said if when God is doing something and this thing he's doing from his eternal will, the thing that he wants to do in a particular nation, and you want to stand in the way as a leader, you're going to start seeing some of these leaders leave us one by one. So if you stand in the way of what God is doing, then be prepared to face the repercussions of what will come your way. Because God's plans supersede the interest of any one particular individual. So no amount of human planning, no amount of alliances, no amount of devising human intelligence, laws, anything that you try to do to block this will fail in totality. So the next point, God will not allow this generation to suffer the same fate as those who came before. He is correcting, God is correcting every wrong foundation of Kenya, especially three things: corruption, greed, and tribalism. So God is correcting the wrong foundations that were built in this country. The foundations of corruption, of greed, and tribalism. And he has decided to use this generation. I talked about this, I think, in the first video that I did, when I mentioned who are the Gen Z and what their role is in the grand scheme of things where God is trying to create change in the world. And if you are keen enough spiritually and just by observation, you're going to notice there's a wave of change across the world that's being instigated by Gen Z. This is a divine thing that God is doing all across the world. And therefore, he does not want this generation to suffer the same fate as the generations that came before them. He wants to do something with this generation, and he's going to use them to fulfill his will and purpose. Okay, so that is what I was led to communicate. And my last point is fairness, equity, and justice will prevail in Kenya. So that's the last point that God led me to communicate, that fairness, equity, and justice will prevail in Kenya. And to sum it up, I'll read for you two verses that were also communicated to me so that we can have an understanding of why I'm speaking the way I'm speaking. So I'd like to go to Psalms chapter 2, verse 1 to 6. Okay, Psalms chapter 2, verse 1 to 6. And it says, "Why do nations conspire and the people plot in vain? The kings of the earth take their stand, and the rulers gather together against the Lord and against his anointed one. Let us break their chains, they say, and throw off their fetters. The one enthroned in heaven laughs. The Lord scoffs at them. Then he rebukes them in his anger and terrifies them in his wrath, saying, I have installed my king on Zion, my holy hill." Okay? And then the next verse that I will read for you is Daniel chapter 2, verse 20. So Daniel chapter 2, verse 20, and it says, "Praise be to the name of God forever and ever. Wisdom and power are his. He changes times and seasons. He sets up kings and deposes them. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning." So the reason why I read these two verses is because we need to get one thing clear. Kenya belongs to God, and the leadership that has been placed, God places people so that they can serve the rest. If people who are in power become greedy and obsessed with looting instead of serving those who put them in power, or serving those who God placed them in power to serve, then God removes them and He places those that He feels will do the job. So this is time for Kenya to experience a change. Whatever God has planned for this country will be a model to every other African country about what change looks like and about what good leadership looks like. So that's what I wanted to communicate today. And I pray that this message reaches to whoever it needs to reach to, that you shall be aware. And when these things happen, you will not be surprised when they do. Change is coming to Kenya. It is time for new leadership. It is time for young minds. And it is time for a fresh beginning for the country of Kenya. So that's where I'll stop it for today. And I pray and I do hope that this message will resonate with you. So God bless you and God bless Kenya. Cheers until the next episode.